So today, after we finish this presentation, we will start with the practicals. And you know what I have decided? In practicals, I will show you how to do using the Amazon's web interface, but side by side I will also show you how to use the command line tools. So by end of the session, I will also want you to install some small libraries on your system, which I'll give you the link by the end of the session. Okay, so let's get on. Amazon Web Services. This is me. My name is Sri Prakash Neelakandan. I work as a Chief Cloud Architect. I have multiple Amazon certifications, and I write. This is the contact details. So all issues, please use tax support at Collabra. Badrinath, do you have any question? If you have a question, please type. Okay, yes, please feel free to ask. So best thing is raise your hand and type in your question. Vikas Garg is asking what is PaaS? Because it is a platform as service, as explained yesterday. Because yesterday were you there? Okay, great. So you know, platform as a service, we will actually use the Amazon Web Services platform as a service. At that time, it will become very clear. Okay. So you know what? Anything that is not clear in yesterday's slide will become practically relevant as we progress. Badrinath is asking, horizontal scaling means we need to add more physical machines or virtual machines. Yeah, this is again an important question, Badrinath. This entire course, we are only talking of virtual machines. Okay, so anytime we talk of provisioning a computer or provisioning a machine, it is all virtual machine. Okay. Okay, so great. Now let's start with the cloud computing with Amazon Web Services. Amazon Web Services, or AWS, is a secure cloud services platform offering compute power, database storage, content delivery, and other functionalities to help business scale and grow. Okay, millions of users are currently leveraging AWS cloud products and solutions to build sophisticated applications with increased flexibility, scalability, and reliability. We will see what these terminologies mean as we progress. So, and this is the logo of Amazon Web Services. And what sets AWS apart is they started early. So they started way back in 2006. So it is more than 11 years now, and they have 70 plus services. So other companies like Microsoft and Google, other two major players, cannot imagine reaching anywhere near Amazon in the near future. So just focusing on Amazon and the tools that we are covering or the products that we are covering itself is excellent for you to get well placed in the cloud market. Okay, now let's look at elasticity. Okay, one of the important aspect of cloud computing is elasticity. Now, elasticity is depicted very nicely using this chart. This chart is provided by Amazon itself. See, before cloud, or if your organization is not having a cloud infrastructure usage, what you would do, you will install a set of hardware for maybe last couple of years. You had maybe 10 or 20 servers installed in your company, and then you projected or predicted extra capacity need. So what you did, you ordered a fresh set of computers and invested in those computers and install those set of computers. So you have added more computers. Gaurav, let me make it. Is this better? Because I want to keep the terminal window also visible so that I can type in the commands when we reach. Is this okay? Okay. So now, okay. See, now here you have invested in computers. Here you have expanded and added more computers in your company, and here you have added more computers. So just focus on the blue line for now. Now, this red line is the actual demand or actual load on your computer resources. So here you can see that at this stage, your actual usage was very low, and then the usage increased, and based on that you predicted additional requirement and you added more computers, and usage continued to increase, and at this stage you notice that usage increased beyond the installed capacity. See, so you ordered more computers or requested more computers, but then such requests will take time. You need to install, they have to come and inspect and check the room and do the wiring and install the computer, install the network, everything. So it took time. So during that time your demand further increased, and see the red area. This red area is where your customers face downtime. You could not serve your customers because it took longer time for those new computers to arrive and be ready. So just looking at the blue line and the red line, do you see how a company relied on installed hardware without cloud service providers? So this is the physical computer growth pattern. So there can be disasters where your demand can overshoot the actual installed capacity. Any questions so far? Now coming to the yellow line. The yellow line is using cloud service providers like Amazon, where you don't have these computers. Instead, you provision number of computers just above the load requirement. When the load goes high, you will add more computers in an automated way, and when the load comes down, you will remove the surplus computers. Do you get it? So your number of computers installed can closely follow the load requirement. Sorry, this is called elasticity. and how to do is called auto scaling. So these two terminologies you should remember, but you will come across. Elasticity is the feature of cloud providers, and auto scaling is the feature by which you utilize its elasticity. So far, any doubt? So this picture is clear. So in traditional hardware without cloud, you can be under provision here, or you can have surplus provision. In this case, you are wasting money because you have these many computers, but the actual load is only this much. So you save cost and you improve customer experience or improve performance. So you have two key advantages. So this picture should be very clear to all of you. Any doubt or any questions on this picture? Rangarajan is asking, elasticity and auto scaling depends on subscriptions. Rangarajan, subscriptions, you mean number of users? Rangarajan has typed users and hardware. So what exactly do you mean? When we talk of elasticity and auto scaling, we are talking of cloud. So there is no hardware. It is all virtual machines. So can you clarify your doubt, Rangarajan? Meanwhile, Anand Singh is asking, does auto scaling apply to all AWS services, including EC2? Yes and no, but in this context, we are talking of EC2. Okay, so mainly for our course, we are referring to auto scaling EC2 or virtual machine instances. Okay, Anand. Rangarajan, do you want to clarify your question? Elasticity and auto scaling depends on subscriptions. Okay, you take your time to type in your question. Okay, Rangarajan, example, when we do auto scale, cost would be high. Yes, see now, see this is the load pattern. This red line is a load pattern. See, if this is the load on your application, you should provide same amount of computer capacity or slightly more, isn't it? So cost will go high. But when the load reduces, cost will go low. So overall cost will be lower than dedicated fixed number of servers installation. Is that clear, Rangarajan? Great. Okay. So let's, with this, so this picture, with this understanding, let's proceed. So elastic computing means one virtual machine to thousands of virtual machines can be provisioned just by running one single command or a few clicks of buttons. Okay, so that is called elastic computing. Now we are going to look at a very large area, and it is humanly impossible to know all these services. There is a documentation where Amazon explains all these services. Okay, so hyperlink, copy hyperlink. Let's sorry. Let's side by side visit the website. Okay, so AWS documentation on the services they're offering. They have compute services, they have storage services, so they have numerous services, and this is always growing. So no organization will expect you to know everything, but whatever we are covering in this course, you should be conversant with. Okay, so Amazon compute services, they have Amazon EC2, and we will cover Amazon VPC and Amazon Elastic Beanstalk. Elastic Beanstalk is a PaaS. Okay, so let me type that in here. Okay. Shivang Soni is asking, if you use elasticity feature, the time cost is high for that resources use. What exactly do you mean? You mean provisioning time, the time for the server to be ready? Is that? Yeah, no, actually, you can provision thousands of servers in a minute, and you can remove thousands of servers again in a minute. Okay, does that answer? So because you don't need to do anything, you just have to issue a command. So in the compute resource, we will study EC2, which is the most important thing. We will study VPC, which is a virtual private network system. We will see what that is. And elastic beanstalk, auto scaling, and elastic load balancing. These 5 things we will study in compute. This is a recently introduced thing. Like I said, Amazon is constantly adding new features. These 2 were added last year, but this is not applicable to us at this stage. Next is storage services. Storage services, we will study Amazon S3, which is Amazon's simple storage service. This is one of the first services Amazon started. Then Amazon EBS, Amazon Glacier. Okay. This EFS was started recently, Elastic File System. And next, database, we will study Amazon RDS, which is Amazon's relational database where you can provision MySQL, Aurora DB, Oracle, etc. Then Amazon's custom NoSQL database called DynamoDB. These 2 we will study. Nothing much to study in Elastic Cache and Redshift, and that is not a part of this course. Then for networking and content delivery, again we will see Amazon VPC, Amazon CloudFront, which is also called CDN, and Elastic Load Balancer again, and Amazon Route 53, which is also called Amazon DNS system, domain name system. Then for management tools, we will study Amazon CloudWatch, CloudFormation, and Management Console and command line interface. Okay, so there are a lot of areas to cover. So just be attentive and feel free to ask questions. And these topics are really important for you to start your Amazon AWS journey. Okay. So this is the link. So just remember to visit the link and familiarize yourself with these things. If you just click the link and read the description, you will get an idea what it is. Amazon Light Sail is the easiest way to get started with AWS for developers who just need a virtual private server. And Light Scale includes everything you need to launch your project quickly: a virtual machine, storage, data transfer, DNS management, and static IP for a low predictable price. So when you get time, just go through and have a overall idea of what these tools mean. So go through this ever growing list. Okay, so let's proceed to the next slide. Now we are going to see a very important aspect of Amazon, how Amazon is structuring its hardware. Okay, so most important thing is regions. So let's jump to this slide. Amazon has got these many regions worldwide. Okay, so I think last year they added a region in Mumbai as well, Singapore, Australia, Japan, China, Europe, and North America and South. Okay, so these locations are called regions where they have their hardware resources. So now let me read this first. Amazon EC2 is hosted in multiple locations worldwide. These locations are composed of regions and availability zones. So this is slightly confusing initially for you to understand. Let me jump to this slide again. Do you see there are numbers in these circles? These numbers indicate how many because the slide didn't change. Because are you able to see the map? Okay, can anyone confirm if you are able to see the map? Yes, Gaurav Rangarajan, yes, okay, great. So see now, regions are Amazon's locations where, so because is seeing only slide 11, so I think you need to refresh your go to training system. Okay. Okay, great. So now these numbers indicate that there are multiple availability zones in those regions. Each region is a separate geographic area, and each region has multiple isolated. So this is a critical terminology, multiple isolated locations known as availability zones. Resources aren't replicated across regions unless you do so specifically. That is, if you provision a computer in Mumbai, it will not get duplicated in another region. It will always be in that location. Okay. Each region is completely independent. Each availability zone is isolated, but availability zone in a region are connected using low latency link. Supposing you have, so now one important thing is you can only launch a computer or launch a virtual machine inside an availability zone. That is, you will be launching within a region, but that region's availability zone is where you will launch your instance. Supposing I have one computer launched here, I have another computer instance launched here, I will not be able to copy files from this computer to this computer easily. But if I have, yes, so Anand Singh is asking a question, is the availability zone geographically separate within the same region? So this question of Anand will need a clap. So this is a critical question. This is what I was coming to. So each availability zone is a separate location within the region. Okay, so but the difference is you can copy files from one availability zone to another availability zone in a high speed way. So though availability zones are located within a region geographically away, few miles away, half a mile to a few miles away, the Amazon provides high speed network connection between availability zones within one region. So far is clear? Great. Now Amazon EC2 is hosted in multiple locations. So this is the, that is the same slide. So this map is important, and you should always check. Not duplicated means, see now, not duplicated means supposing I have one instance installed in one availability zone in Mumbai. That data will not be accessible in other regions. That is all it means. Yeah, a good question. Shivang is asking what the green means. Green could mean that they're planning to launch a region. I think Mumbai was green a few years back. I think last year they launched. So these are planned regions. What is the zone with green color without any number? Yes, that is what I was just explaining, Kamlesh. It could be their planned expansion, because Amazon is continually expanding. Okay. So this picture I got it again from Amazon. So now coming to, yes, now Deepak is asking if there is a disaster in Mumbai, servers down, then it will not be able to retrieve the files. Deepak, yes and no. So Amazon has got a service level agreement, so you will not be able to retrieve the files during the disaster time, but you will also have to, you would have also have to plan what should happen during such disasters. So we will touch upon those topics as we proceed. So in a nutshell, if a data center goes down, the files also will go down. And survey is asking, if you want to copy the data from one zone to different zone, is there a firewall behind one availability zone? Yes, in between availability zone, actually there is firewall all over. But what I am saying is, you will, between availability zone within a region, you will be able to copy using high speed network. But between regions, you cannot copy unless you use internet to copy. Yes, Megha is asking, can we copy or send files from one region to another region? There you will use normal internet traffic to copy. Okay. So these are tricky areas where you will need to work out your expertise. Rangarajan, example, my account is in India region. If I access when I travel to US, will there be a performance impact? So now see, your account is global. So account is not regional, but you can provision instances within a region's availability zone. That part is clear. And when you travel to US, if you are if there will be performance impact, that depends on what you are accessing and how you are accessing. If you are accessing using terminal to log into your server, you may not see a performance impact. But if you are copying large file which is hosted in Mumbai, and if that file happens to be on within the server's disk space, then there will be performance impact. So we will have to see how to overcome such degradation. Any other question? So what I want to tell you here is, Amazon gives you all the tools and technologies to overcome all these performance degradations and disasters. Okay. So Ashutosh has a question: if I provision 3 machines in a cluster in 3 separate regions, will there be performance difference? Yes, yes and no. It depends on where you are accessing and how you are accessing these 3 separate clusters. Sarvesh, your hand is raised. You have any unasked question? Okay, great. So now coming to a very, very important link. You may not be able to get this link directly by searching in Google. So you should remember this link. Let me visit the link. Anand Singh has a question: will it benefit if we create instances in regions where clients and customers reside? Exactly. So that is an important aspect of our study. You have to know where your users are concentrated, and you have to know what they're accessing. As we progress and study other tools, you will see how to choose the best tools to give the best performance. Okay, now this URL is very, very important. This tells you the service and whether it is regional, whether it is availability zone based. Like Amazon account, like I said, is global. There is no region restriction. Keybase, we'll see what it is. We will see what these are. AMI we will study, and it is regional. You have to remember EBS snapshot regional. instances. This is critical. All instances are availability zone specific, not region specific. So when you launch an instance, Amazon will provision the computer in the availability zone, which is within a region, and you cannot change it. If you want to change the availability zone, you have to kill this instance and start a fresh instance. Okay. So this link is important. And coming to regions and availability zones within regions. So here, after you log in, on the right side, let me refresh the screen. On the right side, you will see the regions listed. Can you see this? Now, another way of seeing the regions listed is using the command line. Let me just show you. Don't do any command line stuff yet. When we study that, so like here, if I type, see, I am in my shell prompt of my Mac. On Windows, you need to install git bash or putty terminal software, and after that you have to install a program called AWS CLI, so that AWS will allow you to talk to its cloud services. And if I type a command describe -regions, it will give a long list of region names. Can you see this? But I can use the Linux command, so I'll be using side by side small Linux command. So you are in the prerequisites document, they would have given you a list of Linux commands you should be comfortable with. If you are new to Linux, I request you to just visit some websites to understand common commands. grep is a common command which will filter out region names, in this case, from the list. So when I type like this, AWS EC2 describe -region, you can see the regions and the availability zone. Okay, so these are all regions. Now, if you want to see the availability zones, what you need to do is you need to specify the region. Say US East, region equal to US East. If you specify, it will tell you, it will list the availability zones within the region. So if I grep the availability zone name, you will see that one region like US East has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 availability zones. Do you see this? Like, let's see how many availability zones Asia Pacific South has, which is India. Do you see we have 2 availability zones? So this is another way of seeing the regions and availability zones. Okay, so I have also pasted the command in here. But don't yet do this. But I just want you to be familiar with the command line. As wherever I show the web interface, I will also show the command line, so that you are familiar with the command line option. Because as AWS engineer, you will mostly be using command line. So when you launch an instance, you can select an availability zone, or let us choose one for you. If you distribute, or let Amazon choose one for you. If you distribute your instances across multiple availability zones and one instance fails, you can design your application. That is, you have to design. Amazon cannot do that. You have to design your application so that an instance in another availability zone can handle the request. Yeah, Vikas is asking, just want to know when we are going to start all this command line and how to install the tool. Yes, command line comes later later in the course. Any guess why? Anyone wants to guess why? Because command line, you can make mistakes easily and it could cost your account. You're getting? Because so I want you to be comfortable with doing things manually using the web interface, but side by side I will show you the command line, but I don't want you to experiment with in command line yet, because if you provision an instance, you may not even be able to see if you don't know where to look for to terminate the instance. So essentially we are not ready to do the command line ourselves. Sai is asking, this kind of design change falls under SaaS? No, Sai, that is again an important question. We are only talking of IaaS. Briefly, we will touch upon PaaS when we study Elastic Beanstalk. Everything else in this course is IaaS. And as I explained, SaaS is not for us. It is for developers who develop the software. So our focus is only on IaaS. Is that clear? Okay. Now Sandeep is asking a question: can we migrate servers from region to region, or only we could migrate from one availability to another? This is again a very, very important question. You cannot easily migrate. Let me be frank, but you can migrate. I will show you. So you cannot easily migrate from one region to another region. Okay, but I will show you. I will tell you. But you could migrate from one availability zone to another within a region um, uh, much more easily. Okay, so this much of understanding is enough now. Otherwise, it can be confusing. Okay, so keep that question. We will come across. So the regions and availability zone, keep it in your mind. This much of understanding is good enough, because our focus is only to launch instance in one availability zone and how to configure and how to use. Now coming to some availability zones have as many as 6 data centers. So do you see this? There was a question, is availability zone geographically separated? I said yes, but even within an availability zone there are separate buildings called data centers, and one availability zone, one like this region US East has got 6 availability zone. Each of these availability zone could have multiple independent buildings called data centers. But don't worry about data center yet, because we don't have any control which data center to choose. So, okay, so minimum 2 availability zones Amazon provides within a region, and a data center can have 50,000 to 80,000 physical servers. So we are talking of huge number of installed capacity. That is enough understanding about regions and availability zones. Data center, don't worry much about it, because we have absolutely no control over it. You cannot choose a data center, but you can choose availability zones. If you want to launch an instance on US East 1C, you can choose. If you want to choose 6 identical copies of instances in these 6, you can do it, etc. And you can copy files very fast between the availability zones within a region. Okay, now I hope all of you would have signed up for your Amazon account. Can I get some confirmations? Great. So that is really important, without which this course will be of absolutely no use. Okay, so you have to ensure that you have the necessary credentials to create your account. And yesterday there was some questions, why TAC cannot provide. Amazon does not easily allow account to be shared between students, etc. Yes, okay. So you have to have your own independent account, and don't create anything without my permission, because then my billing, I'm not responsible. So immediately after creating an account, you have to do certain things. Before you do that, let me explain what is a free usage tier. You can try some AWS services free of charge within certain usage limits. AWS call this AWS free tier. Free tier is designed to give you hands-on experience within a range of AWS services at no charge. When you create an AWS account, you are automatically signed up for free tier for 12 months. Your free tier eligibility expires at the end of 12 months. So after 12 months, you have nothing is free. Okay. But as when we study and when our experiments progress, you will notice that your free tiers are over. Sandeep, your hand is raised. Do you have any question, Sandeep? Okay, no issues. So when your free tier expires, AWS starts charging, and to help you stay within limits, you can track your free tier usage at the billing free tier usage and set a billing alarm. So first thing you must do is to set a billing alarm. So if you moment your usage increases, Amazon will send you an email. So that is the safest way to ensure that you are not billed without your knowledge, or your billing has not skyrocketed. So see, this is one example eligibility. When you start Amazon EC2 instance, you must select a thing called Amazon machine image, which are eligible for free tier. We will see what AMI is. Okay, so Kamlesh is asking after 12 months. Kamlesh is saying, I can't even log into AWS account without paying. No, that is not true. That if you are referring to 2 rupees, that is the credit card verification fee. Is that what you meant, Kamlesh? So what exactly are you referring to? So you mean after 12 months you can't even log into AWS? Even to log in, you mean Amazon will bill you? Is that what you mean? No. See, if you are not using anything, even after 12 months, there won't be any charge. Is that clear, Kamlesh? Okay, great. So US, no charge. What exactly do you mean? You mean for US customers, no charge? No. This charge is applicable globally. You mean uh, 2 rupees? Okay, see, let's not worry about 2 rupees at this time. Okay, so let's focus on getting the account and preventing unwanted cost. Agreed? Let's proceed. So this is the billing link to track usage, but you are not going to log in every day to track usage. Sandeep is asking, is it possible that we could discontinue AWS account? We could retrieve data, etc. Yes, of course. You can copy files using the tools that we will study, and you can terminate the account. But as professionals, I can assure you that you will never never will want to terminate, because there is no Amazon is way above the rest of the providers, and if you want to stay in technology, you have to have AWS account. Sandeep, after 12 months, yeah. So after 12 months or anytime you can discontinue. Okay. So coming to setting up a billing alarm, this is very important. You visit this link. First thing that you need to do is you choose preferences and select receive billing alert checkbox. Okay. And next is open CloudWatch. So I'm not showing you, I'm only telling you what to do. This you do it on your own. And choose create an alarm and keep a small amount like $0.01. Okay. Anytime billing increases above this, it will give you an email. So if you are willing to spend say $10 a month, that is around say 700 rupees per month, you can set it to $10 so that you are able to do some experiments, and after that you set it back to $1 and delete the whatever resource that is costing you. So but remember to set this before you do anything. Even using the web interface to create anything, ensure that you set your alarm. Any questions so far? So by today, you will, all of you should have your AWS account. All of you should have set your billing limit. Next is management console. Let's quickly go through the management console so that we get an idea. So after you log in, this is the screen that you will come to, and somewhere you will see the link EC2. Either here in the history or here you will see EC2. You can click on it, but if you don't see it, you can also type EC2 here so that you will see it here. Don't click on anything else. You will only be initially be studying EC2. So if you click on anything else, we will not know what you have done and where you have created anything. Okay, so sorry. So let me drink some water. So this is the most important page in Amazon EC2 for us. Here it will tell you how many instances or how many virtual machines are running, etc. But in this page, when you are in this page, you should always remember your selection, which region you have selected. So I have selected this. If I select this, if I select this, if I select this, you see the numbers changing. See, I have two instances running here. So this can be really confusing for beginners. If your region is wrong, when you launch an instance and later if you change the region, you will not be able to locate your instances. And you will think that you have. So now if I switch this, you will notice that running instances are 0. So when you log in and check if I have any instances running which is costing me, you may be thinking that you have nothing, but you may have launched some instances in some other region. So this is important. Another thing is, when you create a fresh account, there are limits set. You will be allowed to only create 20 large instances, which are very, very expensive. So when you click the limit, you will see you will be allowed to create a certain number of instances only. Okay, and these are also region specific. You know why? All regions do not have all Amazon services. So this is, I have selected Mumbai. So you see some numbers, but if I select another region, you will see these numbers changing. So supposing in your account, in your Mumbai, you cannot create tiny T2 nano or T2 micro instance if your number is small. Yes, so Santosh is seeing this number as 0 for Mumbai, because Mumbai region is recently added to Amazon. Amazon is not by default allowing instances to be created in Mumbai. So what you need to do is you have to click here and request Amazon to allow Mumbai region for your account. That is all. You don't have to pay anything. Clear, Santosh? So all of you, since the account is new regions may not have any number. So what you need to do is you have to choose a region where you have, so you can choose US West, Oregon, which is one of the initial regions. Okay, so US East also is one of the initial regions. So you will have numbers there. So can you check, Santosh, one of those US region if you are allowed to create, or anybody can check? Okay, so while that is being checked, so remember this, remember the region selection, and remember that you have sufficient limit allowed to create in that specific region. Okay, then we have on the left side instances, which will show you a list of running instances within the region. So everything that is happening, that is being displayed in the screen. Okay, so Santosh, Oregon also is 0. So you need to just look for any region that has number which is above 0. So can you check US East, North Virginia? Sai is asking, can we find through a command? I don't have the command right now, but I will check the command. Okay, so but don't worry about it now. Yes, command prompt. I'll find out a way of checking it. Okay, so let's proceed with the slide. Meanwhile, I request all of you to make a request using the link for limit increase, so that within 24 hours they will have increased your limit. Agreed? Okay, so on the left side here you will see the instances running. Here you have your AMIs listed. We will see what that is. And volumes, snapshots, security group, elastic IPs, placement group, key pairs, network interface, load balancers, target groups, launch configurations, auto scaling group. Then there are some other management services. So by the end of this course, you will be fairly conversant with all these or most of these menu items. Sarvesh, your hand is raised. Do you have any question, Sarvesh? Okay, so before we proceed, uh, let's have a 15 minutes break and we will come back. So we will come back at 9:19. Okay, so thank you all for your participation. Sarvesh, your hand is raised. Do you have any questions? Okay, so I'll mute myself and let's take a 15 minutes break and we'll come back. Thank you. Okay, welcome back. So I want all of you to click on this link to increase the limit. So what you should do is, this is that is the instance that we need. So come to limits, come to EC2 limits for Mumbai region and choose T2 micro, T2 micro increase. Okay, and usually within a day, if you log in, they will not reply back to you. But if you log in, you would have received the changed limit. Yes, Santosh is asking, how can we understand the meanings of machine codes provided like T2 micro? We will see that definitely, because that is important. Okay, so now I want all of you to visit this website and install this software for Windows. For Windows. Okay, great. Santosh has already installed, and then install this utility. This will give you a Linux-like command prompt for your Windows, so that even when you're using Windows, your learning will be powerful and aligned towards Linux commands. Okay, so install this, and anytime when I ask you to come to command prompt, use this command prompt called git bash. So it is git bash command prompt instead of cmd command prompt. Okay, so with that we are ready to install the command line tool, but I don't want to install the command line tools now. So we are going to the next presentation where we will create an instance. Okay, so this is about EC2 instances. This is me, Sri Prakash Neelakantan. This is the support contact information. And at this point, what I want to tell you is, when you share your problem to this support address, do not share your Amazon account ID. There will be a numeric ID somewhere, like in the limit increase link. When you click, you will go to a support request form. On the top, you will find your account ID. That should be kept confidential at all times. So do not share your account, Amazon's account ID, which is a numerical ID, with anybody. Okay, so first thing is to understand AMI. AMI is somewhat similar to, if you have installed Linux, you will get one CD like containing image called ISO. Some of you have seen, which you can use it to boot and then install. AMI is something similar, but it is a pre-installed image. So before you create an instance, you have to have an AMI. Okay, so when we launch an instance, you will see how we select AMIs. AMIs include the template for pre-configured root volume that contains an operating system like Ubuntu, Linux, Windows. The AMI also includes basic configurations of storage volumes that will be available within the instance. The first step to launching an instance is to select an AMI. There are 4 main options when selecting AMI. One is Quick Start, another is My AMI, AWS Marketplace, and Community AMI. This is what we will use for our exercises. Then when we create our own AMI, this menu will come handy. And if you want to buy somebody else's AMI, we'll use this. And if you want to choose AMIs created and shared by others, you will use this option. But for our exercise, Quick Start option is what we will use. In the Quick Start list, we will select Ubuntu AMI as our starting point. The Quick Start AMI section is a relatively short list of basic systems that have been chosen by Amazon as common starting points. Okay, any questions so far? We are going to look at these screens very soon live, but just let's clear a couple of slides. So this is the list, Quick Start menu, which has a list of AMIs. These AMIs are not T2 micro or T1 nano, etc. what Sandeep had asked. This selection happens even before that. Sandosh had asked, do we get charged for Windows OS versions as Linux are open source? Yes, the pricing is different. So you will see the pricing. Okay, so this is the Quick Start. So we will see where to see the prices. Ashutosh, which AMI is used in production? Yeah, we will address that question, Ashutosh, but Ubuntu is also greatly used in production. Ubuntu, CentOS, etc. Rangarajan, what is Ubuntu? Is it a hypervisor? No, Ubuntu is an Linux operating system type created by a company which gave the name Ubuntu. Like Linux is an open source thing, but many companies collect libraries and configure desktop and components and give it a name. Like Ubuntu and another thing is CentOS. So it's not a hypervisor, Rangarajan. It is Ubuntu is an operating system. No, Sandeep, don't worry about this screen size. We will see full screen very soon. This is for your PowerPoint presentation which you will get. Okay, so let me quickly go through this. So launching an instance. So these are the screens. First we will select the AMI. First we will select the AMI, then we will select the instance type, T2 nano, T2 micro, etc. Then we select additional options, etc. So instead of now using the slide, this slide is only for your reference. I am going to go to the live screen where I will be creating an instance. So I have 0 instance. I have selected Mumbai region. I will be clicking launch instance in this screen. Okay. But if you are in this menu, the launch instance button will be here in the instances menu. This also is there, but I am coming to EC2 dashboard and clicking this link, launch instance. Here is where, so remember, first selection is Amazon should know whether what operating system you want to run, what AMI should be loaded on your instance. My AMI, like I explained, if you have created your own AMI, it will be listed here. But our focus is on quick start menu, where we choose Ubuntu, which is free tier eligible. Like even Windows has got a free tier eligible version. But our focus will be to launch Ubuntu server. So what you need to do is click on select. Next screen is selecting the instance type. First we selected AMI, image type. Here we select the instance type. This is where the pricing changes. Things can be hundreds of dollars per hour if you choose a wrong type. So like T2 Nano has got 0.5 GB RAM, very small RAM, and it has got a virtual CPU of 1. You can click and understand the virtual CPU in Amazon, but this is Amazon's way of providing a unit of computational power. So what this free tier is eligible only for T2 micro. Anything else you choose, they will be charged. So you have to be very careful here. So don't think T2 Nano is smaller, let me choose that. Then immediately they will be costing. Okay. Now another thing I want to tell you is minimum charge is 1 hour. So even if you start an instance and stop it after 2 minutes, you will have to pay for 1 hour. Supposing I choose a T2 X large, which has got 16 GB RAM and 4 CPU unit. Even if I start and stop immediately, I will be charged for 1 hour. Sai is asking, how will we know which is free? Like here, the green line is written, which is free tier eligible. Is that answer enough, Sai? Okay. Otherwise, in the launch instance screen, you can check mark this, which will only show free tier eligible AMIs. Okay, so but in this case we look for now there are different instance type which is beyond the scope of this course. One is general purpose. General purpose is what we will use. This is compute optimized, where CPU power will be more, GPU optimized, where the graphics processor power will be more, memory optimized, where you will have large amount of memory, then storage optimized, which will have large number of disk space, large volume of disk space. But for all purposes, and generally all organizations will be using general purpose. This will be used for statistical computing and high speed artificial intelligence type of computational needs we will use, but our focus is on general purpose. All generations. Okay, so choose this and click on configure instance details. Then we come to the next screen. Here, see this number. If you choose 1000, what will happen? When you launch, it will create 1000 instances. And how many hours of we will be billed? Will be, even if you start and stop for within 2 minutes, we will be billed for 1000 hours. You got it? So remember, don't change this, and this can be done in command line as well. Okay, so but as a safeguard, Amazon has got an upper limit of 20 for all regions that I have shown you. Okay. Sandeep's hand is raised. Sarvesh hand is raised. Any questions? Sarvesh and Sandeep. Okay, so no questions. So now there are some things we will study what this request spot instance very soon. We will study this and then we will understand what it is. Before that, I just want you to have a taste of how to launch an instance. Yes, what is auto scaling group? We will study that when we study elastic load balancer side. And Santosh, do we get static IP for each instance? That is an important question. We will address that. Santosh, then Ashutosh, can I still create instance when my region limit on EC2 shows 0? No, you cannot create, Ashutosh. You have to make the request. Okay. When we need to deploy a web service, yes, you cannot. Okay. So you need to request the limit increase. Actually, one request, they may increase the limit to all the regions as well, because when the request goes, Amazon knows that you are a genuine user and you know what a limit increase is. Okay, so most of these things we will study. At that time we will understand. So don't worry much about these questions. Next is add storage. Yeah, you see, I think usually 24 hours Amazon responds. So before the next class, your limits would have anyway been increased. Okay, next is, see now let me go back to previous screen. There are some advanced details which we will study as we progress in the lesson. Currently, click next and add storage. Default is 8 GB, so keep it at 8 GB. Don't try to reduce it below. 8 GB is okay. And don't worry about this disk drive type. Keep it as general purpose solid state drive, GP2, and don't uncheck it. Keep it default. That is, when you delete the instance, it will also delete the volume. Otherwise, what will happen is when you delete or when you terminate your instance, your disk drive will still be built. So keep it as default, which is check marked. Next is adding tags. This is important. In an organization, when you launch instance, you should add tag. Click add tag and say call it name, and I will call say Sri's demo 1. Otherwise, later on, when we have 10, 20 instances, you will not know what they are doing and you may not be able to delete the instance. So it is very critical that you tag them really meaningfully. Clear? Next is configure security group. Create a new security group. Choose an existing security group. I will choose an existing security group now. I will choose this Sri demo security group all IP open. I have given a remark so that I know what it is. This security group SSH protocol port 22 is used by SSH and all IPs are open. So anyone can SSH into this instance, which is not good. But for demonstration, I am using this to reduce the initial confusion. Agreed? So essentially what it means, once I launch the instance, all the port addresses of this instance will be closed at the firewall level, and only port 22 is open for all IP addresses, which is not the ideal situation. Actually, it should be open to my IP address, so that only I will be allowed to SSH into this box. Clear? So far it's clear? Can I get some confirmations? Okay, thanks. Now I'm going to click. Moment I click, you will get a final screen. Yes, you will need to create your own security group, Santosh. But not yet, since your limit is 0, right? So wait for the limit to increase. Okay. So this is the final screen. Shivang is asking, how can I change my IP to allow SSH? Which IP do you mean? Your internet connections IP? Yeah, so first you need to know your IP, and then come to security group, and you can add your IP in security group. We will see that. Okay, so when we study security group, we will see how to allow certain IP addresses. Okay, okay. So now I'm going to click this. Here we have another question. These instances cannot be accessed using password by default. You have to use a public private key based encryption using SSH. This is the default security. So I will choose an existing key pair, and I will use Sri's demo key, and I acknowledge that I have access to the private key. I have saved this file in my hard disk. If I choose a new key, you will be able to download and save this somewhere. Wherever you save, you have to remember the location. Clear? If you don't have this key, and if you launch an instance, there is no way you can access the instance. Instance will be running, but you cannot log into the instance. So this screen is important as well. Clear? Any questions here? Okay, I'm going to launch. Instances are launching. Now if we go back to view instances, you will see that the instance is starting. The state is pending. This is the instance ID. So in the command line, if I choose describe instances, I will see that instance, this ID, see ID ending in C9F. C9F is running. It now the state is running. So command line can also be used to see the instance state. If I look at this, see its state is running. Public DNS name, all the details about this instance can be seen via the command line as well. That is using AWS command line tool, AWS EC2, describe instances and the region. Okay, so if I choose a different region, I will not get the instance. Now instance is running, it's still not ready. Status is initializing. You can also click this screen so that you can forcibly refresh. availability zone is AP South 1A, which you can also see that availability zone is AP South 1A. So it is in Mumbai region and availability zone is AP South 1A. Okay, so it is getting ready. Key pair is here. This is the key. This is the tag that I have created. So you can see the tag that I have used. So all these informations are available via the command line as well as via the web console. It is still initializing. While it is initializing, if I select this by making it blue and choose connect, it will give you how to connect. The key that I have downloaded, I will show you. So this is the key. Okay, I have already given a tight security permission 400. This means it is 400. Change mode 400, which means only I can see this file. All other users on my Mac cannot see this. After that, how will you connect? You will use this SSH command. You can use type like this. I have .txt in my file name. So now when I press enter, if this command is correct and the key is correct, it will allow me to log into the new instance. Let's see. See, this question you will always get. And see, I am on the Ubuntu server prompt. So I have created an instance and instance status all green and instance is running. Yes, Sandeep, how to copy key from AWS to local machine? When you create the instance, I have saved that screen. When you create the instance, this is where I'm adding tags. This is where the security group is selected. This is where security group is reviewed. Then we have the final launch screen. Then here choose an existing key pair. No key pair is found. See, I have selected create a new key pair. Do you see the screen? So Santosh, you had you had limit to create instance. So which region you had for micro? Which region, Santosh? US East. So can others to check if your US East has got T2 micro limit allowed? So Santosh has Mumbai also T2 micro allowed, which means Santosh, is your account new, created recently, yesterday? Okay. So yes, it is new. So that is good, because Amazon at times tightens the security and limits the account creation. So it looks like new accounts can create at this time T2 micro instance. So that issue of requesting limit increase is not to be exercised at this time. So when you type in your key pair name, give it a good key pair name, meaningful name. For your organization, don't give any demo key or something. Somebody may delete it. Okay, Badrinath, Singapore region already has T2 micro limit 20. Good. So coming back to key name, you have to remember to give a good name. You say this is the important key for this organization or something like that. Otherwise, if somebody accidentally deletes the key, you will lose access to all your instances. Got it? And then click on this link and it will download the key onto your computer. So is that clear? So Sandeep, your question is answered. Okay, great. So that is how, and the key will look something like this. My key name is, and don't share the key through email to anyone. The securely you have to look after this key. Don't email using Gmail or any email account to somebody. That also is a security breach. If you send this key via your company, so you should always keep the key safe on your computer with which is password protected with login access, and you ensure that change mode 400 is executed on the key, so that if somebody else logs into your computer, they will not see is running. And so now how to access the instance, I will exit from the SSH and I will explain. Normally SSH is accessed without the key. Normally it is accessed like SSH, username and some IP address or a domain name. This is how you access. But keyless access is prevented by default by Amazon. We can open this if you want. If certain use case demands key password based login, you can of course reconfigure the SSHD server on the running on this Ubuntu to allow password based access. So when you don't have a password, and also instead of this long domain name, you could also use the public IP of this this instance. Every instance can also have a public IP. Why I am saying can also have, it need not have a public IP as well. This we will study later. Ashutosh says he had requested 30 minutes back and I can see the limit increased to 20 in almost all regions. Great. So Amazon is really promoting, especially they are promoting within India region. So there will be thousands of job opportunities coming up in next few months or in next 6 months time. Amazon is expanding greatly within India as well. Oh, Badrinath is asking, but I request Mumbai region T2 micro, is there any charge cost? Badrinath, at this time use the free tier only. Otherwise T2 micro will also cost. And region to region price is also different. Depending on the price. Yeah, what is that? What do you want me to see, Santosh, in that top output? Yes, yes. Okay, you can see the machine parameters using Linux command. But now coming back to login, let me just complete the login option. You can also type like this, but again, this is password access which is prevented by default. So what you need to do is you have to give the key name. And what is my key name? This is my key name. So you have to give key name. But here now it allowed me in, but if I change the keys permission, say default permission is 644. I'm changing my key to 644. Okay, and try to access. Shivang is saying, can I use Red Hat instead of Ubuntu? Of course you can use, but see, course is focusing on one OS so that we can focus on majority of the auto scale instances are Ubuntu or CentOS. Okay. Shivang, is it free, right? No, so see, nothing is free. Only free tier few instances are free. Okay, so now here coming back to this, see, now I change the permission of my key so that anyone can see. 644 means anyone can see it, and I can see as well as change it. Now this is an insecure key. Amazon will not allow me to log in. See, it tells you unprotected private key file. Permission is 644 for this are too open. So Amazon will not allow me to get in. So what I have to do is I have to secure it using 600 or 400. Now it will allow me in. See, I am inside. Any question on launching the instance and accessing the instance? Any questions? Okay, great. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to terminate the instance. So I'll go to this screen. Can we install additional modules after launching? You mean additional, Santosh, you mean additional software? Yeah, yes. See, now installing anything in this will not cost you extra money because you have already purchased the instance, you have already purchased the CPU computational power, you have already purchased the memory, so you can do whatever you want. When the cost will increase? Now this instance, can you guess when the cost will increase? Using StarText? No, you cannot use StarText, Santosh. That is WYSIWYG. Graphical interface is not expected for all AWS engineers because on a remote virtual machine, graphical interface is slow and you cannot automate anything. So apt get update. So now it is updating the repository index. None of these will cost you extra, but there is a cost. Can anyone guess? Anyone can guess? Yes, exactly, Santosh. Santosh says internal download cost. Any traffic which exchanges data with internet, they will be cost. Okay, so you have to check the billing and see how the costing works. And you can install anything. Apt-get install, say, Git version control. See, it's installing Git version control. So now Git is installed. See, Git is installed. So yes, Sandeep, depending on the traffic usage. But if you run some command which uses the memory and CPU of this, there will not be additional charge because you have already paid for the CPU and the memory. Yes, that 12-month Ashutosh asking free tier install in instant traffic usage will be free for 12 months. No, that is not true. Actually, the 12-month also has got restrictions. You have to see how the traffic works. And Sandeep is asking, are IP we receive to access the servers are fixed or changes frequently? So this is an important question, Sandeep. We will address that separately. So if you need fixed IPs, you will need to buy a thing called elastic IP, for which you have to pay every month a few dollars for each such IP. All other IPs are meant to be changing. At least for at this stage, just keep that in mind. Any other question? So let's proceed with the slide. So launching. So now, so certificate key also changes. No, certificate key, there is no price and it is free, and it will not change unless you change, because then you will lose access to all your servers. Supposing you have created a key and you have created 100 servers, and if they change the key, then you will lose access. Yes, Sandeep, it means it is related to account created. Yes, you remember I mentioned one global resource location. This page is important. Like AWS account is global, AWS key pairs are global or regional. But you can also see here they have made a change where you can also have regional keys as well. So key pairs that you say by default is global. For our course, we will consider it as global. Okay, so coming back to the slide, when we come to this screen, this screen, you can do many things with an instance. See, you can stop, reboot, terminate, and terminate will permanently delete the instance. You cannot undo it. Okay, so even if you start and launch an instance and terminate after 5 minutes, how much you will be billed for? If it is not a free tier thing, you will be billed for 1 hour. So minimum billing period is 1 hour. So that is how we terminate. And these screens we have seen: permission denied, logged in, and terminate. So now here I'm logged into my screen, correct? I'm in the Ubuntu newly created instance prompt. Now what I will do is I'm going to terminate. Instance state and terminate. When you terminate, ensure that the tag that you have created is seen here, so that you don't accidentally terminate an important instance. I will terminate here. It is, are you sure you want to terminate these instances? So you can select multiple instances and terminate as well. And when you click, it is saying shutting down. And if you see, we are thrown out of the shell prompt as well. Now if we look at describe instance, you will see instance state as shutting down. Do you see this? So it is shutting down. Shutting down also will take little time. For all our practical purposes, this instance has died. Okay, instance state shutting down. See, terminated. And let's look at the state again now. and see instance state has changed to terminated. So what we have studied today is how to create an instance using the web interface. Now same thing can also be done using the command line. Yes, Rangarajan's question. So we cannot recover the terminated instance. We have to rebuild a new instance again with new key. No, you have to rebuild the instance, but you can use the same key. See, I can show you. Okay, then now this is the termination screen. Instance I am thrown out of the screen. This I have shown you, and instance state is running and disabled. Launching your first instance and describe instance. I will quickly show how to launch an instance from command line. Let me see how many slides you have. No, that will only confuse. Now we will see that. Currently use only web interface to launch one instance and immediately delete it. Yes, Santosh, SSH gets applied to Linux based servers and RDP for Windows. Yes, remote desktop for Windows, but normally Amazon's usage is for Linux purposes. All these auto scaling and automation works in fact better with Linux instances. So all practical purposes, your expertise will have to revolve around Linux instances. But for curiosity's sake, you can launch a Windows instance and use your remote desktop client to connect and see. But that is not a part of the course. Okay. So now remember the region and the availability zone you are launching the instance into. Save the key in a secure location. Terminate the instance immediately after use, so that you keep your billing minimum and your key safe. And every time don't regenerate keys unless you have a developer team, a testing team. So these teams you can give different keys so that they have access to their own servers. Badrinath, can I create instance in Singapore region or Mumbai? Yes, you can try. Like I support US clients, so I create US instances for my clients. Okay. So you don't have to create in Mumbai region at all. You can create any region. Sarvesh, yeah, Sarvesh, if you don't have visibility of console login, suppose if OS got any issue, file system issue, FS tab, then how will we manage? You mean if you lose SSH access, how will we manage the instance? Is that your question, Sarvesh? Yes. See, the instances that you need to launch, which will need manual configuration, will have to have SSH access. Now, having said that, you could be managing hundreds or thousands of servers. So SSH or doing things using SSH also is not practical when we automate things. So you have to go beyond SSH, which we will see as we progress in the course, to how to auto configure the instance during launch itself. Yeah, Sarvesh, his question is if he made modification in file and rebooted the host, then it will hang. Yes. Then how to recover? So what Sarvesh is asking is, he was able to access the server and he edited some file which would prevent the server from rebooting. Then you lost access. And then how will you recover this? Ideally, this situation should not happen, but it can happen. And one way is to relaunch a fresh instance. Then Sarvesh will ask me what will happen to data. What will happen to data? You should have already been aware of what will happen to data, because any instance can fail. So your backup policy, your strategy, etc., should allow an instance getting accidentally terminated, getting deliberately terminated, etc. So you should have a way of recovery procedure laid out. Is that okay, Sarvesh? Is my reply okay enough? Can I get a confirmation from Sarvesh? Is my reply sufficient enough? If it is simply hung, will it require reboot? Servicing, if the server is simply hung up, will it require rebuild? That question only you will know. See, you can reboot and see if the server is booting up. But still, if it is not booting up, there are ways by which to recover the files within the server, which we will see soon. Okay. And there are extra mechanisms which you can build on your instance so that such eventualities can also be handled. So that will need extra Linux expertise as well. Okay, because this can, what you are asking is, what Service is asking, can also happen to any other online dedicated server account. You could damage some file, and when you reboot, you lost access. Then what you would do? You would have already made provisions for such access. You may ask for KVM console access to get access and boot using single user, and all those things are possible in dedicated server, but in this case it is different. So we are not at all talking about one server provisioning. So don't think that you are going to work on one instance. You are going to work on several instances. So there is only limited chance that you are logging in and doing things manually. So the probability of you manually logging in and damaging some file is further reduced. Santosh is asking. So Sarvesh, so that closes your doubt. And things will become clearer as we progress and see what all we can do as safety measures. Santosh, generally sometime application need reboot to start properly. So it's not proper to reconfigure the whole instance. Should you have facility to reboot and regain previous instance? Yes, rebooting, you will not lose the previous instance, but certain things you will lose, that we will see. So you have to design your instance in such a way that when you reboot, those things which you might lose are not lost or are recoverable. So this answer at this time may seem vague, but as we progress, we will see the possibilities. Okay. So these are the important things at this stage you need to remember. And pricing, just visit this link and see the pricing structure. Now, before we conclude, a very important 3 different pricing thing. First is on-demand pricing. This is what we will use in general. That is, whenever you want an instance, you launch and Amazon will immediately give you that instance. Clear? You pay for the instance minimum by the hour. So no long-term payment. If you need it only for 1 hour, you just buy the instance for 1 hour and terminate it. It is recommended for users that prefer low cost and flexibility of EC2 without any upfront payment or long-term commitment. Application with short-term, spiky, unpredictable workload that cannot be interrupted. So that cannot be interrupted. You don't want Amazon to terminate your instance. Application being developed or tested on EC2 instance for first time. All these use cases you will use what? On demand. This is an important interview question you have to know. But this will become clearer when we study the other two pricing type. Next is reserved instance pricing. This is supposing you know that your company needs T3 medium instance type for its application, then you can pay Amazon 3 years money together, or 1 year together, 1 year into number of hours together you pay, you save up to 75% of the cost. But you have to pay hundreds or thousands of dollars upfront one time. So do you see the price advantage? If you are running on demand for 1 year, you would have paid so much more. Supposing one instance is say $10,000 per year for on-demand use, that is 24/7 you are running for 1 year, it is costing you $10,000 for example. If you instead buy reserved instance, you will only have to pay $2,500. So when you work in a company, you will be using this reserved instance. But for your studies, you will be using on demand. Clear? So on demand and reserved pricing models are clear. Can I get some confirmations? Those two things should be simple to understand and clear. Can I get some confirmations? On demand pricing and reserved pricing? Yes, great. Sandeep says yes. Santosh saying, but reserved prices for higher configuration will be costly. Yes, yes, Santosh, but on demand prices for those higher configuration will be much more costlier. Ashutosh says yes. Okay, so now on demand pricing and reserved pricing are clear. Amazon is very clever in generating revenue for their services. So they have cleverly given the pricing structure. Now next is very interesting, but slightly confusing to understand. This is called spot pricing. This is something like bidding. You say you can pay only this much, and you bid for the instance. Whenever somebody is selling an instance for that price, you will get the instance. Whenever someone is willing to pay bigger amount for that instance, Amazon will terminate your instance and give our instance to somebody else. This is called spot instance. So the use cases are interesting. Applications that have flexible start and end time, applications that are only feasible at very low prices, users with urgent computing needs for large amounts of additional capacity. You can ask questions on this. Instead of me further explaining spot instance, I will explain based on your questions. So we have seen three pricing. One is on demand, another is reserved, third is spot instance. Any questions on spot instance pricing? Yeah, where we find that when we launch instance, you will see it. Sandeep, Santosh, how we know how much computing is spare? No, that you will not easily know. Like using the Linux command top, etc., you will see the CPU load. But that spare computing, you cannot do anything. You cannot sell the spare computing. You can only sell spare reserved instances. Now, Ashutosh, the on-demand versus reserved versus spot pricing, which is the most used in production worldwide? That question, on demand, I have answered. Like when you experiment, when you try, when you learn, you will use on demand. Then reserved and spot, that depends on what your company is doing. If your company is offering a dedicated service like Gmail, it has to be reserved instance because you need to serve all the time, all the users all the time, isn't it? And spot pricing is a system where you have, supposing you have thousands of video files and you need to run some batch job to compress these video files. Okay, as an example. And nobody is accessing these servers. Only thing is, from some location of some storage location, you can read the video file, compress it, and save it back into another location. Now, for this, spot instance is good. Then, whenever somebody is selling instance at a low price, which falls within your expected pricing, you can launch an instance, process video, and whenever Amazon gets a higher payer, Amazon will terminate the instance. So these type of bad jobs, spot instances are used. But this is beyond demonstration because it involves bidding process. But for your interview and your question, your exam requirement, understand that spot instances are instances which are sold by others who have excess reserved capacity, and it involves bidding. Sandosh, but how do we know that someone is selling the instance for low price? So for when you choose an instance, it will tell you the current price. Currently, it's like a stock market. So what you do is if you don't want to buy the instance at that price, you set the lower price which you can afford to pay, and if and when an instance is available, you will get an instance. Rengarajan, in on demand, I use an instance for 1 hour, then log off instead of terminate. Then can I continue on the second day so that I left last day? Can I continue? No, Rengarajan. If the instance is instance 1 hour, then log off. No, you will still be billed because Amazon is blocking that much CPU and memory from its pool of resources. So Sarvesh is asking who will decide the price fluctuation. It is a market, like stock market. Who decides the price? So the market. The users decide the price fluctuation. Amazon will not decide. But of course, Amazon will have a lower limit set so that it is able to make its money. Okay, clear? So now time for questions. Setting up security limit SSH. Now this is an additional important thing. When you set up SSH, limit access to specific IP address only. We will see this. Use only key-based authentication. Don't enable password authentication. Yeah, Ashutosh is asking an important question. Why would someone sell his instance? Should he just terminate? This is an important question which will deserve a clap. Can anyone guess why would anyone sell? He could just terminate. Any guess? He may have some setups ready. Sandeep is saying he may have some setups ready. Sandosh is saying he may have bought reserved. Exactly, Sandosh. So clap for Sandosh. See, I paid for 3 years to Amazon, maybe $30,000, but my requirement got over after 6 months. Amazon will not refund me the remaining 2.5 years. So I will sell my instance in the market. Anand, Sriram is saying if he took the instance for 1 or 3, exactly, Sriram. Clap. Anand saying, let's say we want to keep the instance and config in place, but keep the instance shutdown state for a week. Can you do that? No, no, Anand. Anand saying, will we be charged for the period during which instance is off? Yes, yes, Anand, you will be charged. Okay, so you will be selling or auctioning your reserved instance. But you have only paid 25% of the reserved instance. Suppose if you have paid Amazon 3 years, you would have really paid very low price. So when we bid and sell, you will get higher returns for the investment that you have made. So and another usage which is not economical is people used to Bitcoin mining. Anybody knows? Yes. So Bitcoin mining was also being used by spot instance, but now it's not profitable at all. Okay, so with let's complete the few more slides. So creating a new AMI, we will see next. Any other question? So creating new AMI and IPs. Yes, Santosh, it is quite a lot nowadays. Unless you have free electricity and free computing, you cannot mine. And any other question? Sarvesh hand is raised. Badrinath hand is also raised. Sarvesh, your hand is always raised. It is gone. Badrinath, your hand is raised. Yes, that is gone. So any other question? Any other question so far? Things are becoming better. Things are becoming clearer. Yes, you do a practical your own. It will be slightly complicated for you to get access because you need to know how to connect your private key through PuTTY, which is slightly tricky, but try it out. And when we face problems, I want you to face problems so that we can address them during next session. So launch an instance which is within the free tier using PuTTY or bitbash prompt SSH into it. If you are using that git bash prompt of Windows, you don't need to use PuTTY. Then you can access the instance just like how I have accessed. like this, you will be able to access. You can use the IP address or the fully qualified domain name which Amazon assigned to it. So try it out, and please don't attend this course just like a video course, because this interactivity is what is making you learn and progress. Okay, with that, I'll conclude today's session. Thank you all for your questions and participation. See you on next weekend. Mumbai region, Badrinath, Mumbai region, they increase my T2 micro limit to 10 only. They will increase, but 10 is good enough. No need for 20. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Bye bye. Thank you all.